Hey guys, I'm ɪṛsᴛᴏᴜ and welcome back to my channel. Today I have the first half of 2020 most anticipated debut releases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the releases that are coming out between January through June of 2020. These are only debut authors because I feel like I wanted to get people to know some new authors that are, publishing next year. And I'm going to do 2 books per month. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the month of January, I'm actually going to start off with a book that I just read, and that is going to be Nameless Queen by McLaughlin. If you haven't seen my Vlogmas week 1, I read this book then. And I really loved it. I gave it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. It even could have potentially been a 4.5 for me. But this is a standalone fantasy book, and it has to do with this world where there are 3 castes. There is the royals, then you have the legals, and then you have the nameless, although it's mostly like royals, legals, nameless. Because the nameless aren't even considered proper citizens of this kingdom because they don't have names, they have no rights, they're basically homeless orphans that live on the streets and are con artists and grifters and just, you get the gist. So in this world, what happens is when a king or a queen dies, they speak the name of someone, and then the crown tattoo, which signals that you are the ruler, will manifest onto that person and then give them these special powers that allows them to be the ruler. What happens is when the king dies, everyone expects the crown tattoo to be passed on to his daughter because normally it's kept in like the royals and like generations and things like that. However, the crown tattoo ends up on our protagonist, Coin, and she is a nameless. It's about how this whole society is uprooted and really unsettled by a nameless being put into power when they have had no rights for so long and are seen as basically less than human. And it's a really interesting story. There's no romance at all in this, which I really thought was interesting, and it was very refreshing. I really enjoyed how it was mostly just about Coin's journey and her learning what it means to be a part of something, because as a nameless you don't really have anything. The next book I want to talk about is Woven in Moonlight. This has to do with a girl named Ximena, and she is the Condessa's decoy, like her double. And what happens is in this land ages ago, Ximena's people were overtaken by the usurper known as Atok. The Atok currently, he wants to be engaged and he wants to marry the Condessa. So Ximena gets sent in the Condessa's place, and Ximena sees this as a really great opportunity so she can kind of overtake the Atok and take back her people's rights, because the Atok had used this dangerous relic years ago to take over the lands, and now that he no longer has it in his possession, Ximena wants to go and find this relic herself in order to bring her people their power back. I'm really excited because it has to do with a lot with Bolivian history and myths and things like that, so I'm really excited for this one. So in February, these are the last 2 ones that I actually physically own as ARCs. The first one is going to be The Seventh Sun by Lani Forbes. In this world, there have been apocalypses. So far there have been 6 apocalypses, and the great creator, every time there is an apocalypse, she sacrifices one of her divine children in order to prevent the apocalypse from fully wiping everything out. In return, the human race then has to give their own sacrifices to each of the divine beings that have, sacrificed themselves for them. It's like a give and take relationship. I give blood, you give blood. So we are currently following 2 protagonists. We follow Mayana, and she is one of the descendants of the divine water goddess. So if she spills her blood, she can control water and some cool things like that. There's like elemental magic in here, which I'm like so excited for. But she really despises the ritual sacrifices that are always done for the creator and the divine children. We are also following Prince Akin, and he is now being placed on the throne because his father has suddenly passed away. And in order for him to actually have his rightful place on the throne, he needs to have a wife. And so Mayana plus 6 other descendants are brought to the palace to become his potential queen, and the girls will have to undergo tests to prove their gifts. However, if Mayana isn't actually chosen as Prince Akin's wife, if she can't make him love him, she will be the human sacrifice for their marriage in order to consummate it to the gods and things like that. So it's this whole darker thing going at play, and also Prince Akin is currently, now that he's on the throne, he can now foresee if there is an apocalypse coming, and it seems like there may be a new one coming, and so it's that whole story, which sounds really awesome. I'm really excited for this, and I think it's gonna be really interesting with like this whole like impending apocalypse in this society where there have been apocalypses and things like that. The other February release I want to talk to you guys about is All the Stars and Teeth by Adalyn Grace. I'm actually on Adalyn Grace's street team, and I also received this arc from her, which has the pre-order incentive, which is this gorgeous art print. She's such a sweet person, like just chatting with her, she's so lovely. So we follow Princess Amora, and she has been training all her life to become a high animancer, which is basically someone who is like the master of souls. And in order for Amora to kind of secure her place as the heir, she has to demonstrate her mastery of souls. However, when her demonstration goes awry, she has to flee, and she does this with the help of a pirate named Bastian. And Bastian agrees to help her if she will help him reclaim his stolen magic. And so the two of them set sail. They encounter things like vengeful mermaids, legendary monsters, a stowaway, and all these different things. And so it deals with Amora trying to reclaim her security as the heir, but at the same time she discovers that there are darker forces at play, and it's this whole story. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a duology so far, by the way. I actually had a bit of a hard time finding debuts for March, but I came up with two, and they're both YA mystery thrillers, so I'm really excited for them. So the first one's going to be Confessions of Colton by Olivia Harvard. I'm so excited for this. It sounds really cool. There was Colton Crust, and he was the golden boy of this town. However, one time he disappeared for I think a couple months and then returned like nothing had happened, and then on the night before graduation he was found dead. And on the day of his funeral, his best friend Eliopulos finds a note in his pocket which is a confession about something that Colton had done, and it leads to 6 other confession letters of all these things that are the truth behind Colton and his story, and they were all written by his killer. And I think that sounds kind of cool. The next one is All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. This one seems 1000% up my alley. This is something that I love reading. I actually think this might be something that will definitely get me back into listening to audiobooks, because I've listened to an audiobook kind of like this before, but this has to do with a queen bee, the star athlete, valedictorian, stoner, loner, and music geek. And they have all been invited to a scholarship dinner, but when they get there, they are locked in a room with a bomb and a syringe filled with poison. And they are told that they have to pick someone to die, or they all will. Bum bum bum. So I don't know. These ones can be very cheesy, but I actually love them. They're really fun, quick reads for me. Now moving on to April, the first one I have to talk to you guys about is The Silence of Bones by June Her. I have had my eyes on this book for quite some time now. This is set in the 1800s Korea. We follow Sol, and she is indentured to the police. While she's working with the police, there is a murder of this woman, and it is a politically charged murder. She has to kind of start discovering the truth, but while she is trying to do that, people are attempting to stop her, and it's this very dangerous idea of being in 1800s Korea, what that means, and these politically charged murders, and what it means to be a woman in this time. And I've heard that it's very creepy and atmospheric, and I'm really excited for it. It's also own voices. So moving into May, the first one I want to talk to you guys about is Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. This is set during the French Revolution, and we follow Camille, who with her band of outcasts try to save people from Madame la Guillotine, who, you know, kills people who maybe don't really deserve it. But Camille and her group end up saving this girl who is not at all who they thought she was, and she ends up having this very dangerous power. And so now Camille and her group are in deep danger, and Camille must make the choice between saving the future, remaining loyal to her friends, and discovering a new love. I'm really excited for this one because I love books set in period France, especially because this one is about the French Revolution, which I used to learn French a lot as a kid, and so I'm very familiar with the French Revolution, and I'm really excited to see how Kat really blends it into this world and her take on it in this fantasy setting. The next one is The Fascinators by Andrew Eliopulos. Okay, this sounds really cool. So we follow 3 teens. We follow Sam, James, and Delia, and they live in this town where magic is looked down upon. However, they are all part of this like amateur magic club. Over the summer, a lot of things start to change. Sam starts to think that he might be in love with James. Delia is getting frustrated that their magic club is so amateur. And James may have gotten caught up with some very dangerous people over the summer who are now trying to hunt him and his friends down. And the whole idea of the story is that magic is what brought this trio together, but that might also be what breaks them all apart. I'm really excited for this book because it is an urban fantasy, and I've been really enjoying those a lot lately. They're really fun to get into, and I love the idea of this like trio, and I think it's going to be a really good book. The next book I actually have just been sent a package for, and I've been waiting to open this package until I filmed this video, so I've been dying to open it. Oh my god, what else is in here? Is it a duck? I think there's a duck in here, guys. So the book is The Life and Medieval Times of Kit Sweetly by Jamie Pacton. So this says Kit Sweeney, and it says wench crossed out and knight instead. And then the other thing, it is a rubber duck. Oh my god, guys, they sent a rubber duck. They're so adorable. Okay, so this comes out on May 5th. Let me check this sheet out. So we follow Kit, and she is a waitress or a wench at this medieval restaurant. However, she really wants to be a knight. And when her brother gets sick and cannot do his knight job one day, Kit decides to go in his place, and at the end of the battle, she whips off her helmet and is like, yo, I'm a chick, make me a knight, you can see that I can do it. And she becomes internet famous from that video. However, management is not very happy with her. And so begins this whole feminist battle against her restaurant and saying, just because we're women doesn't mean we can't be knights. And I'm really excited. I think there's gonna be like a fun romance in here too. And yeah, ever since I read Well Met by Ever since I read Well Met by Jen DeLuca, I've loved books that have like medieval Ren Fair settings to them, so I think I'm gonna love this one. Look, it even came, look, it even came with a sticker. This is like one of the best PR packages I think I've ever been sent. Okay, and now last but not least, we're gonna move into June. I actually have 3 here rather than just 2 because there was some that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. So the first one is If We Were Us by K.L. Walther. This is book 1 in a duology. So Sage Morgan and Charlie Carmichael have been best friends for a year, and at their high school, everyone believes that one day they'll both realize that they're actually madly in love with each other, and they'll be like the perfect couple because they're just the bestest of friends. However, this new boy, Luke Morrissey, shows up to school, and he kind of captures Charlie's attention, and Charlie captures his as well. And as these two boys get closer, it gives Sage the freedom from Charlie to become closer with his twin, Nick. And the story is about these two best friends who are now dealing with these new boys in their lives, and how they have to rely on their own friendship and maintain it in order to, you know, survive through their year of high school. So I'm really excited for this. It sounds super fun and super sweet, and it's just like, I came across this book and I was like, I think this is a contemporary that I would love to read. Next we have Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. I feel like people are kind of aware of this book because of the cover of it, and it has some Moulin Rouge-esque aspects in how it was written. But as well, there is a competition going on between magicians at this circus, and we follow 3 POVs. We follow the star, Kalia, who is the powerful showgirl who wants to go out there and prove to everyone that she is the best, no matter the cost. We then followed the master, Jack, and he is the enigmatic keeper of the club and has told more than a few lies. And then we have the magician, DeMarco, and he is the brooding judge with a dark past he can no longer hide. How dope does this sound? I'm so excited for it. Oh, it's gonna be so good. That's like all that's really been known about it, and it's like circusy, magician-y setting. Exciting. And then last but not least, we have The Kind of Poison by Natalie May. So this is set in the magical kingdom of Orkana, and there is an ancient tradition called the Crossing that has been recently invoked by the ruler. And what this means is that all of the ruler's current children will have to do a death-defying race across the desert, and the first to cross the finish line and slay the human sacrifice will be given immeasurable power and become the new ruler and ascend the throne. In comes Zaharu, and she is just, you know, curious one day and just decides to, you know, wander into the palace, wants to kind of have a bit of a thrill, and When she does that, she gets herself in deep doo-doo because she ends up getting captured. They find her and she ends up becoming the human sacrifice for the crossing. And so now she not only has to navigate this sibling rivalry, but also find a way to get out of becoming the human sacrifice and ultimately dying. This one sounds super fun, and oh my god, I'm so excited for all these debut books. If there are any other debuts that are coming out within these months of January through June that you think I should be aware of, please comment them down below. I know there are a lot more than these, but I just kind of wanted to keep this video short with just 2 a month. I'm going to be making another one in June for like the later half of the year, but those are some of the debuts that I'm really excited for. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, thanks a bunch guys. Bye!